supposed to go. That was a big issue, but it got put through, and now all of a sudden, we're asking for a big zoning change so we can put this other catastrophe there, and I understand another one across the street. Is that correct, Mayor?
Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I believe you're talking about two different issues, both of them being data centers. What has been proposed is a data center in our industrial site, which is west of Wynn Road and just to the north of Corduroy. And if you're talking about a zoning change, there were 5 houses that will be purchased by the city of Oregon, and all the rest of the property, for the most part, has been rezoned. And those additional properties would have to be rezoned due to a contract we have with the data center folks, so that data center could be placed there. Yes, and but the reservoir that you are speaking about, Toledo's, is on the east side.
Right, I know where it's at, Fox's over there.
And all, there is no actual data center proposed there. They're just the folks that looked at building a data center on that site that I just said or mentioned are inquiring about that property over there for a possible expansion. So yes, that's
Okay,
you're correct. And we
that's
were
what
fortunate enough to have them have interest in.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, very, very, very fortunate.
So right now, the reservoir is not going in.
I wouldn't say that because Toledo still owns that site. The reservoir could go in. That site still is owned by the city of Toledo.
Is it now owned by Toledo?
Yes.
Okay, so if they would decide to put it in, would they have to get some sort of clearance from Oregon?
They would have
sell it?
They'd first off have to purchase it.
So they don't own it?
Toledo.
Toledo owns it.
Yeah, Toledo.
Okay,
as I said,
Toledo
yes.
owns
Toledo
it.
owns it, and then they would have to have that property or request a zoning change on that property, yeah.
Okay, okay. There was a man on TV the other night that lived in one of the houses. It was very upsetting because you could tell he was not well. And he had the tremors very bad. And he's very upset about having to lose his home. And I felt so bad because in the condition he was in, it would just be disastrous for him. And I can't believe that some of you people sit there and make these decisions without thinking about our residents. And you don't. You think of one thing, yourselves. The other thing I want to talk about is it was brought up recently about the building that was built on the corner of Lullendorf and Corduroy. You know, which it was a speculative building.
Mm-hmm.
It's still sitting there, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
So the speculations was not a good investment.
That was a private company that
Right.
invested in there.
But it was a speculative build.
It may
Just
or may
say-
not, it may or
just
may
say,
not.
yes, it
Yeah,
was a
it may or may not be.
speculative
Yeah, it's
build.
what they call a spec build, and they were building that with the idea that they would attract a tenant.
Yes, okay. The Oregon Economic Development, they get their money from us, correct?
They get their what?
They get their money from Oregon.
Oregon makes a contribution to the Economic Development Foundation. They also have stakeholders. They also have members. that pay and they get funded through the city, and they get funded through other businesses that choose to join that organization.
How much does Oregon give them?
$100,000 annually.
Okay? And when they buy something, does Oregon's name go on it?
When they
You're talking
purchase
about the property?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say typically it's going into the foundation's name.
It goes in their name until such time where it's more appropriate to come back in our name.
But it comes back to Oregon,
That's correct.
okay? Another thing I'm interested in is, why did the police department buy 2 pickup trucks? We've never had pickup trucks.
We never used to have SUVs either. We're coming in with the times and
There's a
what works
big
for
difference
us.
between an SUV and a pickup truck, I think, Joe, or Mike.
Ruth, with all due respect, the police haul things also, and some things are more convenient to put in a pickup truck than they are.
But what are
in-
they gonna do with them? I mean, what is the purpose of it? Having 2, let alone 1.
Yeah, they have one. They have one.
There's 2 sitting out in the parking lot.
Mr. President.
Go ahead.
If we could, Assistant Chief Ryan Spangler's here. Could you
Yeah.
talk on?
For
about
sure.
that?
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Mazer. The police division only owns 1 pickup truck. It's fully marked. It's fully functional. It has the capabilities to be on the roadway. But it is assigned to our fleet court property maintenance, so it is used primarily for prisoner transport to and from the jail for court proceedings. Because it is assigned to our property room guys, that is how we transport all of our evidence to and from for property destruction, for processing at BCI in the crime lab, for transportation of all of the bicycles that we locate on the streets and back. It's too difficult to put those into the back of one of our Ford Explorers. It's damaging our cages with the handlebars, with the kickstands, all of that stuff, along with all of the equipment that we have in the back of the Ford Explorer. But to be clear, we only own 1 pickup truck, and it's fully functional, fully marked, that we use on every day by our court property fleet maintenance officers. We do not have 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
When I went by there today, there were 2 sitting out there. That was my concern. I still have a concern as to what the necessity was, but I guess we'll see. How many houses are you talking about buying for this
Data center,
data center?
the ones we bought 4 on Wynn Road. The gentleman you've seen on TV, his is on Corduroy. And there were 2 other ones, weren't there? 2 other ones on Corduroy. So that would be a total of 7.
And you've already bought the ones on Wood Road?
We have 2 that we haven't closed on. We have options. They will be closed on, this month. Yeah,
Now, are those on the west side?
they are definitely on the west side, yes.
Okay. Is that sort of putting the horse before the cart? I mean, you don't have any,
No, I would say definitely not.
I mean, you don't have anything in writing about the data center.
We have a lot in writing.
So you were doing this behind our back? Yes, you were.
Yeah.
It was never in the paper. There was nothing said about it. If you don't come to council meeting,
Well, I'm sorry,
council
it's about
meetings,
before.
you're up the creek.
Is what?
I says, if you don't come here to council meetings, you're up the creek. You don't know what you guys are up to. Right?
I guess some of you don't keep up. You might not be able to figure it out. You may. We're very open about it. But I'm sure there are some people, if you come, we'll tell you. Just like you're here, we'll tell you, we answer any question. It's not a secret. not only are we trying to attract that data center, we're proud of it.
I said, we've not been bashful about talking about that opportunity.
Excuse me?
So we have not been bashful about talking to that opportunity, and we've actually approved the purchase agreement for that property with the data center.
But there's been nothing in the paper about it.
Sometimes they report things, sometimes they don't. It's,
There was not even anything in the press.
okay.
But
Got
your
me.
picture has been in the press.
Did you like it?
No. That's what I don't understand, because some of us are not able to come and not to know about it. I wouldn't have known about it if Beth had not made a post.
And different people have different visions about the data center, and they may tell stories that alter what we here believe is good for the city, and that's their prerogative. But you know, Ruth, people come in here all the time wanting to get different city services done. Guess what? They all cost money. And we prioritize those lists, and we try to get as many things done in a calendar year as that is possible with the money we bring in. We have the way refineries do business kind of leaves us with a little less money that we were accustomed to getting from the refineries due to the way they do business. So we have a revenue stream that sometimes decreases. So we are out there trying to find ways to shore that up so that we can do all the things we used to and some additional things. And like you say, the public doesn't know about that. Well, we've been certainly not bashful, more proud of the fact that we were able to get a data center to consider us as a possibility to locate this huge revenue stream for the city of Oregon.
What are we doing about, what's going to be done about the electric grid and the water?
Well, if these data centers are state-of-the-art, they do use some water, but we have ample supply for that. These are a new style, kind of air-cooled, water-assisted, so we have plenty of water to service that need. The grid, each of these data centers come with single-stage generation systems. They can power their own data centers with the power they create themselves. However, they have options to go off the grid, or we have what is 900 megawatt natural gas power plant, and we have a proposal that is underway for a 1,475 megawatt power station, natural gas to power. So we have in this area an ample supply of electricity, and they would even say a surplus. So yes, that's why we're the desirable site, because of the infrastructure that we have in this city that's very appealing to data centers, who they do use a lot of power. And that's why with the interest of a data center here, those folks that we're going to build Clean Energy 2, we're right on it and looking forward to building another power plant right here. So, yeah, we got a lot going on.
I know you're spending our money, maybe not wisely, but yet
That's
you
your-
can't, you don't have enough money to fix our streets.
Yes, we do. Our streets are in better condition than any city around here. There are a couple streets way better than any around
many?
here. We have a few streets that need repair.
Few,
They're
not a
on the
couple,
list.
a
They'll
few.
come out. And see, isn't it nice that we'll have that data center supplying revenue that we'll be able to do that even a little faster than we currently do? So, you know, you got some facts. They're kind of messed up. They're not very accurately placed. But I think you'll be one that will be welcoming the data center and hopefully possibly a second one.
Because I know Eastmoreland to the east of Wheeling has been bad for some time.
Isn't that on the schedule, Paul, to do Eastmoreland? Yeah, so, yeah, we're on track. You know, if you want to go find some roads, you don't have to go too far in cities around us that have roads in way worse condition. But see, being that we're trying to plan for the future, that's why we seek out these businesses that have huge revenue streams, so that we'll be able to fix those roads a little faster. We'll be able to buy maybe 2 trucks for the police department instead of just 1. We'll be able to do a lot of things that have been waiting for a while. We have more going on and possibilities in the city than anyone around us. So, yeah, you bring up points of reasons why we should be attracting new businesses and new revenue streams, and we're doing it. Glad you came in so you could figure that out.
How much of a tax abatement is the data center going to get?
It's a funding source. It's called payment in lieu of taxes. And it will bring in more dollars than any other business by far that is in the city. But it not only brings in a huge revenue stream for us, but it brings in a huge revenue stream for Oregon City Schools. Schools will share in those revenues, and if you have been paying attention to what could be going on with the property tax deal in the state of Ohio, those schools could fall into dire straits and just a tremendous problem for them. And we're looking out for them. We are
Oregon
looking out for
schools,
them.
you say, are going to fall into dire straits. Do you know how many school taxes I pay? I'm 82 years old.
Probably not as many as I do.
Well, no, I don't live in
I'm just
the
saying
area
this.
you live in.
All
My
right.
house isn't as big as yours, but I'm paying $2,400 a year school tax. I haven't had anybody in school for 2 generations. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the seniors.
And I'm trying to help you so that if we come out with this huge revenue source, you won't see the additional school taxes. So
Hey.
we're really out and helping you. So I appreciate
When they
it.
got a
Thanks.
big payoff from BP, they also had a tax levy. They didn't need the money, but they put a tax levy on, and of course, everybody sees tax levy, and they see schools, so it got voted in. You're not fair. You are not fair. And I'd look for November to come, and you're sitting on the road.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr.
I
President.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Next, we have Chris Belli. Mr. Belli, go ahead and state your name and your address for the record.
Chris Belli, 2068 Lilas Drive. Thanks for having me. I'm here today to talk about short-term rentals and the issues that I'm still having and we are still having on my street. I think the best way to kind of wrap this around is to do a little bit of an overview of where this all started, where we're at now, and where I think it probably needs to go. So, a year and a half ago, we had a number of Airbnbs set up on our street. I live on the north side of Lilas Drive. So to give you the numbers, there's approximately 10 to 11 houses that are actually inhabited on my street. 3 of them are Airbnbs. If you look at the number of residents on my street, there are 17, if you don't include my 2 children, which will be leaving for college next week. And the Airbnb capacity, one of the Airbnbs is not permitted right now, but I think it probably would get an 8 guest capacity. The other 2 that are permitted have an 8 guest and a 5 guest capacity. So if you run the numbers at any given time, there can be more Airbnb guests on my street than there are actual residents. So more strangers than people that live there. What precipitated me coming in the first place was a couple very large parties at what is currently the unpermitted Airbnb a couple Christmases ago. One of them resulted in some shots being fired into my neighbor's yard. And I have police reports on that, but I think everybody's familiar with that event. So that precipitated the council putting together a ordinance for the Airbnbs, which theoretically went into effect in January. In February, none of the Airbnbs had been permitted yet, and there was an enormous party in the one that was directly across the street from me, which is the biggest thorn in my side. One time I counted 25 cars, the majority of them parked in the yard. I have photos of this, and it took 3 police call-outs and 4 in the morning to actually get the party broken up. To give you some idea, I'm a pilot by trade. I actually was flying to Florida that next morning and needed to leave the house at 6, and I wasn't sleeping till 4, so you can see how that's not really good. The party didn't create a huge, there wasn't anybody necessarily doing anything illegal. There were alcohol bottles thrown into my yard, but what I think was happening was the police would try to leave to get everybody to leave because nobody would leave because they'd been drinking, and then they wouldn't leave, and then we had to call the police back. But anyway, bad situation. Then I figured out that the way I needed to get these Airbnbs permitted was to put in a nuisance complaint to zoning, which I did, and 2 of the 3 Airbnbs actually applied for a permit and were given permits. One of the Airbnbs, the one directly across the street from me that had the huge party, is permitted to have 8 guests. And I've talked to Mr. Strake multiple times about this, and he has confirmed to me that that means there would be 8 people on the property. Mr. Mazur, do you agree that, or have you had him actually, have you discussed this with him, and is that the way you understood him to interpret it?
Mr. President, Mr. Bell, I have not talked with Mr. Strake about your specific conversation with him, but that would be my understanding as well, is that it's 8 people permitted to stay there. Now, whether or not that's construed as 8 people on the premises, I'd have to have that conversation with him. I have not.
I have had that conversation with him and multiple times because I was like, are you telling me that this means that there can be 8 people here? And he says, yes. I wish he was here today because we could get some more from him. But if you read the permit, it is not directly specified how many people would be there. And what I'm getting at is 8 people are supposed to sleep there, but can they throw a party? Which is exactly what I'm still having problems with. So continuing this history, just to give you an idea of what it's like to live next to Airbnbs. So this was more in the May time frame. I was had my boat out in the driveway, and I was sanding the bottom of it, so I'm in goggles, respirator, all that, and 3 trucks with double axle fishing boats come down my 1.5 lane street, and 3 additional pickup trucks to be at one Airbnb. So I'm like, this ain't gonna go over good. Lo and behold, within 15 minutes, I have one of them walk over to my house onto my property. I have to stop what I'm doing, and he tries to purchase parking space from me to park his boats. So I have my direct line. I have a hotline, like a red phone now, if you can imagine. And I called Mr. Mazur, and I'm like, hey, this ain't cool. And you can see there's nuisances of different levels here, right? Like why am I even talking to this person? This is my property. This just doesn't make sense. Then we'll fast forward. I could throw in a couple of trespassings there and whatnot. We'll fast forward to June 8th, where I came back from fishing and noted that where there were at least 8 people trespassing on an adjacent piece of property, which I then confirmed with a neighbor. I figured out that they were at the unpermitted Airbnb. Subsequently, after talking to other neighbors, I figured out that they transited through 2 other pieces of property. So there's 2 nuisance reports in there from my neighbors about this incident. That incident led to a fireworks event at 11 o'clock at night. And from one of my neighbors, I don't live as close to this Airbnb, as close. She said that the owner of the Airbnb tried to break this up but was unable to. Also, these events require you to call the non-emergency 911 line, right? Which is appropriate, a person trespassing or something like that. Usually you're able to get a response, which I have, but in this particular case, she was not, so she didn't get a police response from this event either. So now we're into the July timeframe, and if you were to read my biggest complaint, so the one directly across from me, their advertisement for their Airbnb, the generic Airbnb or Verbo or whatever the heck it is, actually states in there that there's not supposed to be a party. But the advertisement says no big parties, which means that you can have a party. And how do we, what is a big party? Is that 15 people? Is that 20 people? What is that? So for the last 2 weekends, I've had a party across the street from me. Now, the first one was my neighbor throwing fireworks, whatever, that's great. And actually the owners of the Airbnb came over to do that, but I put up with that one, which was 20 or 30 cars, not 30 cars, probably 15 to 20 cars, 40 or 50 people over there. And then this Saturday, I estimate there was at least 9 cars. Believe it or not, this driveway will fit 8 cars, which is what sorry, that's my time's up.
I like self-regulating.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
I'm throwing myself out. Anyway, my point here is that this is going to continue to happen, and I feel like the permit exists as the control for this, the vehicle for something to be done. I know for a fact that more than 8 people stay in there overnight. And if we want to get into well, what's the difference between 9 or 10 or 8 or whatever? The controls are in place. I can't be the policeman for it. I don't know how to control it. But as far as I'm concerned, this Airbnb has already broken their permit. And it says right in there, if you do not follow these rules, you could lose your permit. So I'm looking for some help to get this under control, because I'm going to continue to consider it a nuisance until it's near the level of what I would consider a normal, and I've lived there for 21 years, neighbor does, which is not blow up slide parties every weekend in July. I mean, maybe you guys have neighbors that are that fun, but I do not. I have sought legal representation for this because I am not backing down. So I'm digging a trench and I'm not leaving. I have 2 friends, I have 2 acquaintances, both who sold property over Airbnbs. One of them built a dream house and said, I'm out of here. One of them bought property and said, not going to build, because it is not something that you want to live next to. So I am, like I said, I'm here. I'm digging in. I want to see at least some action. I want to see action on the permit. I don't want to be disturbed at a level that I consider unreasonable. And like I said, I can get on my bicycle. I've told Mr. Mazur this, I can get on my bicycle and drive around South Shore Park on a Saturday. I cannot find what's happening across the street from me. I can't. I'd probably get on a golf cart and ride all the way around Eagles Landing on a Saturday. Maybe I'll find one backyard that's close. But I'm putting up with some ridiculous stuff right now, and it needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belli.
Mr. President,
Mr. Mazur.
if I may, and thanks for coming in, Mr. Belli. Yes, I know we talk frequently. The one that's not permitted right now, just for clarification for everybody, notices have been sent out. They are not complying with what's required. I think everybody knows that the Bayshore neighborhood is a little bit not typical. Kind of built as a cottage community, and now it's permanent residence. So that particular residence has some issues with it. And in other words, it has a house and it has a garage with a living space above the garage. When the utilities come from the house to the garage, so it's a little bit it's off. There's some work that needs to be done to it. The owner has, for lack of a better word, has been kicking the can down the road to the point where if it hasn't been filed in court already, it will be. I'm pretty sure it's been filed. I don't know if Melissa, you know about it or not, but that one is being addressed. So we'll see how this ordinance holds up in the judicial system. As for the other house, I was in conversation, text communication with Mr. Belli over the weekend. I did see that there were more than 8 occupants of that property on, was it Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Saturday, so I was able to witness it myself, so that's one thing. So if they are in violation, we can start that process, let the owners know that they are in violation. But the bottom line is, and I think the other short-term rental, there really haven't been issues that are.
The other short-term rental is small enough that it gets used more like a hotel. My problem with that one is when there's turnaround at the, what is it now?
Refineries?
Yeah, at the refineries. I'll have 2 or 3 dually pickup trucks from Texas that have backup beepers. So I'm woken up at 5:15 in the morning by a couple industrial backup beepers. And this can be disturbing too, because so if a work crew ends up at the 8-person one, now there's 8 bachelors or young kids or something over there. My wife comes home at 11 o'clock at night. It's not a good situation. A lot of times these guys don't want to talk on the phone to, in front of all of their friends. So there's guys standing in the street in the dark, talking on their cell phones. I don't, at any given time, 90% of the guests aren't trying to do anything bad. They just signed up to stay at an Airbnb, right? But from my perspective, it's a nuisance. And I think you can see here, the other problem is there are so many gray areas. For example, last weekend, in the permit, they're supposed to park in the driveways. They're not supposed to park in the street. There's nowhere to park in the street. So I'm sitting there in my yard. One of the Airbnbers comes blasting down the road and stops and parks right in front of a no parking sign in the street. And I'm like, well, there's eight parking spaces over there, right? So, and he starts to give me crap about it. I'm like, you just parked in front of a no parking sign. The mail lady cannot get to my container without getting out of her vehicle now. Why do we even need to have this conversation? And actually, I saw that one was going to over capacity, so I kind of started like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, actually his wife or girlfriend said, oh, my dad owns this place. And to my knowledge, it's not owned by a man, it's owned by a woman. So I think there's lying going on. I can't all of the stories I've told you, I either have a police report, I have a picture, or I have a witness. But there's a lot of other things that I can't necessarily prove, and I don't think I should be the one proving them, which is part of my bigger nuisance complaint of this whole thing is, why am I the one trying to keep some normalcy in my neighborhood? So I'll let it go
Mr.
for now.
President, if I could continue.
Sure.
I'm gonna sit.
The court system will address the one. We do have the ordinance, and if you recall, there's only one short-term rental allowed per, I don't remember the exact distance, but, basically it's one per street. In this 300 feet. So in this particular case, these 3 properties were grandfathered in because they were pre-existing prior to the ordinance taking effect. So that's why there's 3 of them on this road. The one for sure does not have it doesn't have a permit, and 2, it's non-compliant. So again, we'll go back to we'll let the judicial system hopefully sort this out. The other one, I did actually check in after we had talked about the occupants that were there. I talked with the owner of that short-term rental. That's the large blue house, the one that's right across the street, that had the person park in front of the no parking sign. Allegedly, that was a family member. So there is sometimes, I guess, a family usage of this home as well. So that's where it gets gray as well, because it's hard to determine whether or not if the owner is using it or if there are renters using it. But I can say with surety that the other night there were more than 4. I think I counted 14 people.
Well, it was way more than that until she broke that one up. I think because she saw that was not good, which I still think is not an excuse. Like, it shouldn't be, oh, I better go over there because they have too many people. It should be, my listing is very clear. You don't do this, you don't do that, and there's only 8 people that live here.
Yep.
And I think, and I can, that's an easy way out, right? So I find it hard to believe that on a July weekend, you're giving up what in this case would be thousands of dollars worth of revenue because your friends are over. So there's no way we can prove that kind of stuff, which is my point of I'm not interested in policing it. And are you really not charging anybody to be there? Because we don't have any way to know that either.
Right. Well, I think I'm going to want to kind of bring this full circle so we can continue moving through. So obviously we've got documented issues. One case already moving forward. I think Ms. Purpura, possibly we would want some weigh in at some point in time on if it is a registered short-term rental as an Airbnb. I don't know that it matters whether it's family members staying there, whether it's guests staying there. I would think the rules apply. And it sounds like there's enforcement opportunities with this to try to, I'll say, lessen the nuisance to yourself and the other neighbors around there. So I'd like to see us pursue whatever avenues we have with that and keep Mr. Belli in the loop on what those things are, if we could. Thank you, Mr. Belli. Next person I have is Jonathan Perry. Mr. Perry, you'd state your name and your address for the record, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Perry. I'm at 4104 Lynn Drive. 33 years ago, my wife and I came to visit Toledo for the first time with a job opportunity, found this little slice of Northwest Ohio and said, this is our space. So we moved here and we love our community. Now all 3 of my sons and their families have homes in Oregon as well. And I think, first off, I need to apologize for not being more engaging in the community. I think when you're younger, you're busier. As you get older, you realize, hey, this is important stuff. And so I'm not here to complain or ask for anything, and I hope that's not out of place. I hope nobody's mad at me about that. But I'm reminded, being from Kentucky, I'm reminded of a Kentucky politician who gets up on an issue and he says, and I'm for the issue, and he's railing about that issue. And about 30 seconds later, he goes off and says, and I'm against this issue, and rails about the issue and why he's against it. He said, I got friends on both sides, and I'm going to stand with my friends. Now, you've probably all heard that. And I'm not poking at a politician. I'm simply acknowledging the hardship of your job. What you guys do is really hard work, especially in a small community. I own a couple of businesses in Toledo, and the city council members there, I don't know, I've not been to too many of their meetings, but they probably don't have the relationships in the city of Toledo that you guys have, because this is a tight-knit, family-oriented community. And so when I think about all of the things you guys are having to deal with, I'm pretty sure I would agree with some of you on some things, and I would disagree with you on other things, but that's okay. As a community leader myself, I know that if you try to make all the people happy all the time, nobody ever gets happy. And so I just wanted to come and encourage you guys, and usually there's nobody here, and I thought, yeah, I'll go and just encourage the city council, and on the night we have everybody here, it's like, okay, we'll do it anyway. Whether it's a gas station, a car wash, the city, the towns, what is it, the town center? Street lights, parks, the data centers. I just want to encourage you guys to make big, bold moves for our community, because I've got 3 generations living here, and I want to see my grandkids enjoy the benefits of the decisions you're making today. So I just want to encourage you, think big, have big dreams, partner with big dreamers, figure out a way to build this community into the community that it is and that it can be. That's all I've got to say. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. It's very nice to hear that. We very much appreciate your comments tonight, Mr. Prey. Moving on, we have council in your packets. To the left, you got something to say? Oh, yeah, I got that too. We have one more person to speak tonight. So we have James Myers to come up. So on the left-hand side, you'll see something that is the Glaze Galore Donut Eating Competition. And Mr. Myers is here to talk for a few minutes about that.
James Myers, 104.3 Belmont Meadows, and then Deja.
Dejanera Irby, 2912 C Street.
Okay.
So there's 2 of us here today. Deja is actually representing Oregon Duncan with me. She is an employee there, soon to be in management, and she also is going to be working with a 501c3 that we are developing. I'm representing multiple stores all the way up into Cleveland, so I can go through the list if you like, or we'll stick with
That's
Oregon.
okay.
How about that? So I'm representing Sheer Donuts Inc., Myers Capital, which is obviously, Oregon Duncan, stretching all the way to partnerships into Perrysburg, all the way into Napoleon. We've been around the block for a while. I've been in Oregon for going on close to 4 years now. And I'm going to be frank with you. We haven't done much for the community. Obviously, people have come, asked for stuff, we give to them. I represent the ownership of it and the partners, and they have all collectively come together and made the decision that they wanted to partner with the city, each city that a location is, to collectively gather some type of event that will benefit the city, not the brand, as far as saying that it doesn't even have to be inside a Dunkin'. They simply want to, as a family and family friends, come together and support this community more so than we did. So right now they're in Canada because we're expanding into Canada. And I just told her earlier, they're saying stay close to the border because that's Tim Hortons territory. But it's okay. We'll make our way, hopefully. But collectively coming together and working with the city on a greater level than just building our stores and our location in the city is super important. We just opened up another one. We have one in the mall. Our owners and operators all stay in the store. Some of them do live in Perrysburg. They live in other places. But specifically, the owners want to take care of the communities that their location is in. And as a family, we do too. So they wanted to extend this message to the city and say, one, their apologies for not being invested in the city that has welcomed them so much in all areas of Lucas County. And two, we want to know, with this fundraiser, to continue to grow it, we've decided to move in forward. And actually, there's major league eating competitions. We had no clue. So gathering the resources from Cleveland and all over and centralizing this event and a grandiose event in this, specifically Oregon, the first one for promotional, moving on to the next year would be great, working with some of these other organizations that hold these events that attract people from out of state to these events. I mean, hardcore. I was watching some of the videos. I mean, I love my Lions, but I don't know if I'd go that hard for donuts, but that's not the point. But more so to the fact, too, is encouraging the youth and taking care of them, and something that we all agreed on, because everybody has their ideas of what they want to do for the community, is the children. Reaching out to Wendy from Connecting Kids to Meals was our first stop, and we were actually moved by that because we didn't intend on doing it, but we had a meeting at the Oregon Library. We were sitting there, and myself, I've dealt with poverty, and so have they, being immigrants, have dealt with poverty. They know in the beginning that it's hard, and watching those kids moved us, and we're like, you know what, this is something everybody can get behind. This is something that's close to us. Originally, we approached the Oregon Library. Obviously, it is, I believe, a government, so it was a little harder. So they were great with us and moved us towards Connecting Kids to Meals. So this event is going to benefit them, obviously. That's our partner that we chose. But most importantly, working with the city and growing this event and keeping you guys in the loop of what's happening. Because it, as small as it sounds, 6 stores in Cleveland and reaching other states and bringing people here and continuously growing it out of state and bring them here is not only economically good, and then showing that we're not having it in our store. We could do it at UT, we could do it anywhere we want, and then Roar Capital Inspire Brands supporting this too, after, I believe, discussing with them, their representatives, 2 events for major donations, takes that burden off of some of the nonprofits that we work with, and then just invest that capital into this event, attracting other people economically. That's our goal. They do own some hotels too, so having those hotels will also help with promotional and bringing people into the city. Obviously, we cover Lucas County, but centralizing in Oregon is where our heart's at. And with young people like her that developed this, she's done an amazing job. She's never been in this situation before. I can tell you, she's quiet, but you should see her at work. She definitely tells people what to do. So I wanted to bring her just as a picture of what she could possibly be doing, because also a big thing is with this 501c3 is that we're developing too, is going to be putting young leaders in charge, not just family, people who genuinely are from the community and want to see these businesses that are a little more quieter, such as the family, give back to the city that's welcomed them. I mean, we've had a tremendous amount of support from our customers, and we even went to them and said, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What's something that we don't have? And that idea was developed. I've invited some of the members here to come to it, along with Lucas County. TPD is on board, Oregon Fire Department. We've done as much as we can because they've done such an amazing job of, one, making our business look beautiful. The city's great. We love it. The police presence is always welcomed, and they're wonderful. So thank you, Oregon Police and Fire Department, for that. You guys are always welcome. You guys know that. And then also encouraging the youth, not just on an educational level, but the basic needs that they need in order to get to those points. We have a lot of, actually we have some people who utilize some of those services and are very passionate about it. So I've been in this business for a while now, and I think this is by far the most that I've ever seen a group of young people come together and say, hey, 501c3 was never even in our mind. We're like, we're business, that's it. But we realized that with the financial backing of some of these groups and corporate, we could make a great impact, but also economically give back to the community that supported us. So thank you on behalf of the family. And thank you for giving us a chance to talk. Deja, do you want to say anything?
No. That's it.
But you guys have information about the actual event. And as I said, this is right now kind of a promotional event, but we are already in the works of reaching out to our stores in Cleveland and some of the other states to bring this and centralize this in a way that it's not just something for Duncan, that it can be something that can give back. The 501c3 that we developed that we hope the city will partner with once it's completed will give the city access to say, hey, listen, Connecting Kids to Meals will always be number one, but we also have this issue with this organization. It will give us the ability to get the input of what we can do for the city collectively, but in each location to help give back because you have been so supportive of us. So 1,000 thank yous, and if any questions.
Anybody have questions? Mr. Myers, we thank you for being, we thank both of you for being here. And just to share with everybody here, date of the event is August 16th. It is at the local Dunkin' here on Navarre Avenue. It's from 9 to 11:30. There is a sheet of rules and what it takes to get in. And again, the beneficiary of this is Connecting Kids with Meals, which is a great organization. We appreciate your guys' efforts to support the community and the need in the community. So thank you for being here tonight.
Appreciate it.
All right, moving in, we have our, I'll say, noted or agenda listed item. We have from the Economic Development Foundation, we have our director, Rebecca Bennett, is here. And Ms. Bennett, we'll ask you to come forward, dazzle us. And if you want to introduce anybody you brought with you tonight, please do. Otherwise, we'll let you jump in when you're ready.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. You look like you're blonde from up here. All right, do you just want me to tell you, like, next slide? Okay, cool. Sorry, I tried timing this out. I tried keeping it 10 minutes, and then I remembered how many times Mayor Safarian has went over on our meetings. So I was like, you know what, 11 and a half minutes, that's good. So hopefully by 8:05, I'll be out of your guys' way. All right, so good evening, council members. My name is Rebecca Bennett. I'm the executive director of the Oregon Economic Development Foundation. Oh, sorry, next slide. I'm a Toledo native and a University of Toledo finance graduate with a career built on driving growth through partnerships. Well, this is my first formal update. I've followed your meetings weekly, and I've spent the past 6 months advancing land coordination, investor growth, and initiatives aligned with Oregon's long-term economic goals. I also completed the Ohio Economic Association's basic course, reinforcing the legal and ethical standards that guide our work and deepening my expertise in site strategy, incentives, and public-private partnerships. In addition, I currently serve on advisory committees for PBF and Synovus, and I look forward to serving on the Oregon City Schools Board once the new school year begins. I'm also an active member of the Eastern Maumee Bay Chamber of Commerce and the East Toledo Oregon Kiwanis Club. Next slide, please. Since February, OEDF has welcomed 10 new investors and 3 new community partners, expanding our reach across healthcare, finance, real estate, construction, the trades, and civic engagement. These are economic partnerships that fund the foundation, strengthen our network, and reflect confidence in Oregon's growth. Following the retirement of longtime treasurer Dave Highmore, Desiree Castillo of Genoa Bank now serves as our treasurer, bringing strong financial expertise and community commitment. Next slide, please. Land and project development. Key updates. The land account reconciliation is complete. All real estate taxes have been paid. Residential development in the town center continues. Kay Havanian is actively building. Nick Ide is working to secure a new builder, and I've assumed HOA oversight until all the lots are filled with homeowners. Zoom Prospector updates are underway to support business attraction, and to reduce costs, I've taken on doing our website updates and management in-house. Active projects also include the Neuter Spec Building, a potential data center, and Oregon Clean Energy 2, which is targeted for Q2 of 2027. These are not just buildings, they are job creators and long-term tax base investments. Next slide, please. Town Center update. Construction is underway on the Town Center apartments, bringing needed housing and walkability to Oregon's core. This development supports local businesses, increases activity, and strengthens our tax base. The commercial phase is progressing behind the scenes. Early lease negotiations, especially with anchor tenants, remain confidential to protect the project's viability, which is a very standard practice in economic development. I have full confidence in Mike Denman and Bill Bosselman. They're taking a strategic, long view approach to ensure lasting success. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Rushing it would be short-sighted, and real progress takes time. Next slide, please. Economic development and practice. In Oregon, economic development is about balance, preserving what makes us strong while ensuring growth benefits everyone. We know land use and conservation matter, but so do housing, jobs, and a strong tax base. Without economic development, no community can thrive. Cities lose services, revenue, and residents. Streets don't get repaired. Schools and safety services get stretched. Businesses look elsewhere. Economic development is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The Oregon Economic Development Foundation is a separate private entity. We are not a department of the City of Oregon. While the city is our largest public partner, that's because we do the most collaborative work with them. We're mission aligned, not structurally bound. We don't duplicate city functions, we strengthen them through targeted private investment and strategic partnerships. We work with Jobs Ohio, RGP, the port, legal teams, and city staff to bring meaningful, long-term opportunities to Oregon. We're not here to change Oregon. We're here to keep it strong, stable, and ready to compete for the future. Next slide, please. This year, I led the Italian Bowl Tour of Italy campaign, which increased visibility and driving traffic to Lucas County restaurants during a high-profile international event. We also partnered with the EMB Chamber and Fire Department on a lemonade stand fundraiser, raising over $900 for the Isaiah 117 house. And we've expanded Oregon's presence through strategic sponsorships across healthcare, workforce, education, and nonprofit sectors. Some of these partners are highlighted in the slide. These efforts continue to strengthen relationships and position Oregon as a connected community, focused, and an opportunity-driven city. Next slide, please. Environmental stewardship drives livability, business attraction, and pride. In February, I was appointed to the City of Oregon Tree Commission, a role that I value. I understand the meetings have not yet begun, but in the meantime, I've led projects that blend environmental care with public benefit. I connected Keeping Toledo Lucas County Beautiful with Steve Solander to expand cleanup efforts. We partnered on a Litter League cleanup at a Mud Hens game, collecting 21 pounds of trash. We coordinated additional tree planting at Jake and Cooper's Bark Park, and we launched a youth-led beautification project at Jamie Farr Pool House. Grant planning is also underway to support public space revitalization, youth engagement through arts and environmental learning, murals, tree planting, native landscaping, and stronger school and nonprofit partnerships. These aren't just beautification efforts, they stabilize neighborhoods and they strengthen civic pride. Next slide, please. Our upcoming investor meeting is August 15th at Mercy Health St. Charles Hospital. Brian Blair, the athletic director of the University of Toledo, will be speaking on leadership, culture, and workforce development. Our featured partners will be BGSU, Oregon City School Career Tech, and iBuild in the 419. This session reflects our commitment to workforce, alignment, and future-ready talent pipelines. Next slide, please. So, for my closing, Oregon has momentum, but it only continues if we stay focused on what truly matters: jobs, investment, and partnerships that serve both our residents and our businesses. This city is uniquely positioned for growth. We have available land, strong infrastructure, 2 hospitals, and unmatched recreational assets, including a state park, a metro park, and a beloved community dog park. OEDF was proud to support the metro park expansion and played a role in helping bring Jake and Cooper's Bark Park to life, because true economic development includes investing in the spaces that families use every day. We're supported by a chamber that shows up, schools aligned with workforce needs, and most importantly, business owners who live here, who lead here, and who reinvest in this city. These are not outside investors. They're your neighbors. They run the construction companies building the homes. They lead the banks financing local growth, and they support the nonprofits shaping our community. That is not common. That's powerful, and it's exactly what real long-term economic development is built on. The Oregon Economic Development Foundation exists to support and strengthen this progress, not to replace city services, but to bring in private investment, grow the commercial tax base, and reduce the burden on homeowners. We do that with quiet consistency and a deep understanding of how serious development works, legally, financially, and strategically. Economic development is not always flashy. It's not driven by headlines or online noise. It's a strategy, it's a process, it's long timelines and confidential negotiations that protect the integrity of projects until they're ready to move. That's not hiding, it's how serious development gets done. And lately, I've seen how quickly misinformation can spread. But tearing people down does not build a city. It does not pave roads, it does not fund schools, and it does not attract jobs. Collaboration does, commitment does, real leadership, focus on outcome over attention does. Everyone involved in city progress has a role. When city staff, elected officials, and partners stay focused on their responsibilities and work together with mutual respect, the entire community benefits. City Council plays a vital part in that success, representing residents, guiding policy, and ensuring resources are used wisely. When all parts of the system work in balance, Oregon is a better positioned for long-term success. Because here's the truth. Oregon already has what many cities are still chasing. We have strong partnerships, local leadership, and community events that people want to attend, from families with young kids to college students to retirees. We have sponsors ready to support because of the relationships we've built and the results we deliver. That kind of alignment doesn't happen by accident. It's earned through trust, consistency, and shared purpose, and it's worth protecting. Over the past 6 months, I've seen firsthand how rare that alignment truly is. We have the people, we have the partnerships, we have the momentum, and we have a community that already contains the elements others are trying to build. That's not something to take for granted. It's something to protect, and it's something to build on. So, thank you for the opportunity to serve and for your continued partnership as we shape Oregon's economic future together.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Well said, well done. And I would take a moment. Yes, absolutely, please. To also recognize we have some of the leadership here with you and some members here. So we want to thank you for being out here tonight, joining us, and for your stepping into the treasurer's role. Thank you. Once you start volunteering, be careful because it's hard to get away from it. So we appreciate your time. In a brief moment or two, are there any questions?
Mr. President?
Go ahead.
I have a lot of city residents that ask, like as you mentioned, it's all about ownership and who's here locally and how the local people are involved. The president of the OEDF is the mayor of Waterville and lives in Waterville. Is there a reason why we can't, I mean, people ask me that, why is he the president of the Oregon Economic Development Foundation? And so I'm just, is there no one in Oregon that can fit the bill for the president of our own Oregon Economic Development Foundation?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So we have bylaws, and you have to go by those bylaws. I've been in the role for 6 months, right? And I'm actually in process of, one, helping rewrite our bylaws. We're in the process of trustee elections, and the next step is our board elections. And I think that Tim's plan is to move into a past president role. I don't think that the answer is that there's nobody else in Oregon. I think that the answer is that projects, like I just said, take time. He has a lot of the knowledge of the projects that we're currently working on, and I'm assuming that that was the plan before I got hired, because I know that that's the plan now that I'm in the role, is him helping guide us through those steps and get our board in the best position possible that we can be in to move forward. But I don't think it has to be someone in Oregon. I think it just has to be somebody in our foundation, because we have many investors that don't live in Oregon, but they contribute to the city.
Thank you. I know that, I hear from a lot of residents that they'd like it to be Oregon people. We already have a lot of jobs that are farmed out from our own citizens, and you know, for good reason in some cases. But when you're looking at somebody that's leading an organization like the Oregon Economic Development Foundation, it would be exciting to think that it could be someone from within our own city. So I thought the elections were supposed to take place in May or something, so that's my bad, so I'm sorry.
That was our annual meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's a transition that's taking place at this point in time, which is, I believe, the Board of Trustees, and then the executive leadership team, I think, then comes after that, which I think, you know, later through the summer into the fourth quarter was kind of their time frame of when that would be rolled out and done through that, because I believe part of that has already started or is taking place at the time.
Yeah.
And what I would say, because I've had that question as well regarding Mr. Pedro, and what I would tell you is, there are few people that are bigger cheerleaders for the city of Oregon than Tim Pedro, believe it or not, even though he represents another community. I just talked to him earlier today about something, and he very much has always been able to separate professionally and integrity the role he plays here in Oregon versus the role he plays in his hometown, if you will. So I've always been comfortable with Mr. Pedro's representation of the city, even though I get the same question in that. But I do know that the transition is ongoing.
Yeah, I have an extremely busy board, and they are always one phone call away in there, so I appreciate that.
Yeah,
for sure.
go ahead.
I've gotten that question myself. I've been on the board for a while. And we just had a lot of transition, and there's institutional knowledge that the president has. We've talked about it, and we're in the process of getting the new bylaws approved. We're getting a legal opinion on that. And once we get the new bylaws approved, I think you'll see some movement to more consistent board. You know, we've all been on it a long time, and it's one of those things, when you volunteer and you put in the time, it's hard to find people that are willing to put in the time to volunteer and do it consistently. But I don't think we're on a mission impossible. So I think that's something that will happen naturally under Rebecca's leadership. Once we get the bylaws going, I think we're going to be on a path where we can bring some fresh leadership and some fresh ideas to the foundation. But I'm real excited about the progress we've made in a short amount of time.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm looking forward to that, and just that it's someone, it's organically here, from here. I know he does business with the city of Oregon, so, I mean, everyone does. I mean, you work here, it's an economic development foundation. I'd be crazy to think people would all live within Oregon. I understand that. It's just, you know, it would do a lot for the confidence. And then I know I've mentioned to Mr. Salander, and I've heard a lot professionally, maybe considering while you're doing your development or you're reorganizing, possibly moving the office of the director here into the city, since we're, you know, we're helping with your paying for your, what's the right word? We're supplying the money, our tax dollars, to pay for
We're a
your job.
contributor.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, so I'm just excited, I hope maybe you'll consider possibly, moving your office over here into the city, and that way you could
Yeah.
work more
I
closely.
was going to say, we're going down a rabbit hole
Okay,
because there
let's
is a
just,
reason. It's a separate entity for a reason.
He got my hopes up about it.
You are our biggest contributor. The city is, and we respect and understand and own that. But I've been in investment long enough that when there's parties that want to invest in your community, you have to protect the parties involved for a lot of reasons, whether it is the state that's giving incentives, whether it is the potential business that doesn't want their competitor to know, or whether it is a landowner that doesn't want their neighbor to know what they're selling their property for. There's a lot of reasons why we have that chasm between city, even though we can't exist without each other. There are reasons why we want to have a healthy, distance as well. So those are things we'll consider.
I'm not sure if the senior center is the epitome of discretion then.
I mean, that might be your opinion, but also what I wanted to add to that was you guys might want to look into going to the OEDA basic economic development training the next time it's up, because I mean, we had everyone from council members, chamber leaders. There was one guy that came from New York because he missed the New York one, and he led a chamber. But the thing that was stressed the most was the areas that kept the economic development private were the strongest. And you can take my word for it, or you can take the class yourself, and you can hear everyone in the state. But it was clear that that message was how everybody felt, and that's what I took back from it.
The certain level of anonymity that some businesses require, and I know as elected officials and as public figures, we like to know things. And we like to have information before anybody else does. And sometimes that's just not prudent to a developer coming in because they don't want their competition or whomever to know their business until they're ready to announce it. And that's part of the town center part that you talked about. Some of the businesses that I know have been talked to or are coming in, they want to make their own announcements. They want to announce it in their time frame. They want to do it in their way, which is why Mike had asked respectfully, all the announcements will be made by him instead of us accidentally putting the information out. And when you're getting into the, Mike Denman, I'm sorry, Mike Denman, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
When you're getting into, land acquisitions and the different things that come into this, anonymity is a very important thing for businesses going through that. I can tell you that from just going through a development and business in Minnesota. Nobody knew who we were, what we were doing until literally we were ready to announce that. So that is a good part of that.
And I get how frustrating that can be, because I put this in my speech and then I took it out, but my dad was a state auditor. I could never go to take your daughter to work day. I never understood why. He could never talk to me about his job. Like, it frustrated me my whole entire life. I get that it's frustrating, but sometimes that's just...
Well, being on the finance committee and the economic development committee, I trust me, I'm not a career politician. I'm in it to find out where the money goes and follow the money and see how it's utilized. I'm not in it for bragging rights or name dropping or whatever. That's not me. I'm in it to see where the dollars go, and solely that alone. So,
Yeah.
thank you. It was a very good presentation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Ackerman. Ms. Bennett, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We'll move into the business agenda here. If anybody wants to exit, we'd encourage you to do so now. We'll give you a quick moment, and we'll start into our agenda. Council, we do have one item on the agenda tonight, which Mr. Roman had mentioned last week. It is item 118 of 2025. We do have to add that to this evening's agenda. Can I get a motion to add that?
President,
Ms. Pauloff.
so moved.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff. Seconded by Mr. Wolenczak. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, item 118 of 2025 is added to this evening's agenda. Council, the first three items were discussed at our committee of the whole meeting last week, so we won't have a presentation on each of them, but if you have questions, we will have an opportunity for that. The first item is item 115 of 2025. Are there any questions for the administration on item 115? Hearing none, I will assign item 115 of 2025 as ordinance 115 of 2025 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Authorizing the fire department to submit an application with Norfolk Southern for funding from the Safety First Grant Program and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President,
Ms. Pauloff.
I move for passage of ordinance 115 of 2025 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Ms. Pauloff.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Wallenczak. Thank you, Mr. Wallenczak. We have a motion by Mrs. Pauloff, seconded by Mr. Wallenczak for ordinance 115 of 2025. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mr. Wallenczak?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mr. Solander?
Yay.
Thank you, council. Ordinance 115 of 2025 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Moving on to item 116 of 2025. Council, are there any questions on item 116?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Please, Mrs. Ackerman.
I spoke with Mr. Roman, and he assures me that all of the promises of donation are legit. And I just wonder if anyone should not fulfill, and if we appropriate the money and anyone doesn't, if someone reneges or whatever, they don't fulfill, can we be made aware of that, please?
I think that's fair.
Mr. President, yes.
Please, Mr. Mazer.
absolutely, 100%.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ackerman. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll assign item 116 of 2025 as ordinance 116 of 2025 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Authorize and directing the finance director to make supplemental appropriations and interfund and intrafund transfers on an as-needed basis for fiscal year 2025 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President.
Mr. Wallenczak.
Mr. President, I move for passage of ordinance number 116 of 2025 as an emergency measure.
Thank you, Mr. Wallenczak.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Drake. Thank you, Mr. Drake. We have a motion by Mr. Wallenczak, seconded by Mr. Drake for ordinance 116 of 2025. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mr. Wallenczak?
Yes.
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mr. Solander?
Yay.
Thank you, council. Ordinance 116 of 2025 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Moving into item 117 of 2025. Councilor, are there any questions on item 117? Hearing none, I will assign item 117 of 2025 as ordinance 117 of 2025 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Authorizing the mayor, finance director, and commissioner of recreation and parks to enter into an agreement with the USA Patriots softball team and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Drake.
I make a motion for passage of item 117-2025.
Thank you, Mr. Drake.
Second, but as an emergency measure.
As an emergency.
As an emergency.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wallenczak. Motion by Mr. Drake, seconded by Mr. Wallenczak for ordinance 117 of 2025. Ms. Snyder, would you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mr. Wallenczak?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Mr. Solander?
Yay.
Thank you, council. Ordinance 117 of 2025 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Moving into item 118 of 2025, presented by Mayor Mike Safarian and Public Service Director Paul Roman. Mr. Roman, anything to add here?
Well, I'd like to present it.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Thank you, Mr. President. And this ordinance is needed to proceed with the design of the Coy Road storm sewer replacement and Ardmore flood relief project. The project has been in our CIP for a couple of years. I always thought we could design it in-house, but it is more complex. There's a lot of right-of-way involved, a lot of utilities in the Coy Road area that you have to design around, and we made it really clear we needed to hire a professional engineer. The project consists of enlarging the existing storm sewer on Coy Road between Mary Ellen Drive and Country Farms Road, and installing an overflow from Forester Drive in the Ardmore subdivision. Forester Drive really is the target flood area. I know council is well aware of that, of the flooding on that street. We received letters of interest from 5 consulting firms, and OHM was determined to be the most qualified for this particular project. Their scope of services and the costs are included in Exhibit A. Again, these costs are included in our budget for 2025, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, any questions on item 118?
Mr. President.
Mr. Slander.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Roman, I just had just one question. If you could just clarify for, I've been asked about it, and I'm sure you've seen it all over the place, but just a little clarification on why the emergency.
Okay, yeah.
Mr. Roman?
Yeah, Mr. Sandler. And I think when it comes to all infrastructure improvements, there's a lot of time spent on design. You try to position yourself that you can get grants. One of the reasons also to get this design going is simply to have a budget number for next year. This is going to be a 6-month process, and again, you need those costs and know what you're dealing with. Really in the budget process. OPWC has moved up by a month and a half. This will not be a candidate for OPWC this year, but it could be in following years. But for this case, and I can tell you in flooding, when it comes to the city of Oregon, you know, in the wet months, they're all calling you, and in the dry months, like it is right now, it's like a church mouse. But I guarantee you the next rain event, they'll say, where's this project? And you're going to be glad it was done as an emergency, is the point.
Yep, I agree. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Slander. Thank you, Mr. Roman. Council, any additional questions on item 118? Hearing none, I will assign item 118 of 2025 as ordinance 118 of 2025 and ask Ms. Snyder to read it into the record.
Authorizing the Mayor, Finance Director, and Director of Public Service to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors, 3290 Levis Commons Boulevard, Perrysburg, Ohio, to provide professional engineering services for detailed design of the Coy Road Storm Sewer Replacement and Ardmore Flood Relief Project in an amount not to exceed $101,150 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Council.
Mr. President.
Mr. Slander.
I'd like to make a motion for passage of item 118 of 2025 as an emergency measure.
Okay, ordinance, but yes.
Ordinance, I'm sorry, ordinance.
Thank you. Seconded by Mr. Wallensack. Motion by Mr. Slander, seconded by Mr. Wallensack for ordinance 118 of 2025. Ms. Snyder, will you please take a roll call vote of council?
Mr. Solander?
Yes, yay.
Mr. Wallensack?
Yes.
Mrs. Ackerman?
Yay.
Mr. Drake?
Yay.
Mr. Horniak?
Yes.
Mrs. Pauloff?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Ordinance 118 of 2025 does pass with a vote of 6 yeas and 0 nays. Concluding all business we have on the agenda this evening, we'll move into the mayor's report. Mayor Safarian?
Thank you, Mr. President. Council, you did good correspondence from different departments. I have a couple retirement resignations to inform you of or get approved. And I will first start with asking Council's concurrence in the retirement of Robert Chastain, and effective August 1st, 2025. The last day of work will be July, well, you've seen that, July 21st. So I'd ask Council's concurrence in the retirement resignation of Robert Chastain, August 1st, 2025.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President.
Mr. Slander.
I'd like to move to, in concurrence of the retirement resignation of Robert Chastain, effective August 1st, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Salander. Seconded by Ms. Pollock. Motion to concur by Mr. Salander, seconded by Mrs. Pollock. Council, are there any objections? Mayor, Council concurs with the acceptance of that resignation.
And next, another retirement resignation, that of Sharon Beckford, and that effective date will be August 31st, 2025. She was a chemist at the wastewater treatment plant. And once again, August 31st, 2025, retirement, Sharon Beckford.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President.
Mr. Slander.
I'd like to to concur with the mayor on the retirement of Sharon Beckford, effective August 31st, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Salander.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Pollock. Thank you, Ms. Pollock. We have a motion to concur from Mr. Salander, seconded by Mrs. Pollock. Council, are there any objections? Hearing none, Mayor, the council concurs with the acceptance of the retirement of Ms. Beckford.
Thank you. And next, an appointment And I'd ask council's concurrence in the appointment of Mr. Jeffrey Deal of 1949 Beechcraft Drive, Northwood, Ohio, to wastewater treatment plant operator, step 1 of the SC pay scale, which is the hourly rate of $33.41 an hour, or an annual rate of $69,492.80. And the effective date would be August 6, 2025. Jeffrey Deal.
Thank you,
Water
Mayor.
treatment plant operator.
Thank you, Mayor. Council.
Mr. President,
Mr. Slander.
I'd like to move to concur with the mayor on the appointment of Mr. Jeffrey Deal for the wastewater treatment plant operator position in step 1, effective August 6, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Slander.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Paulo. Thank you, Ms. Paulo. Motion by Mr. Slander, seconded by Ms. Paulo to concur. Council, is there any objection? Hearing none, Mayor, the council concurs with your appointment of Mr. Jeffrey Deal.
And that does conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Moving on, Mr. Mazer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did want to clarify one thing for everybody, for anybody that's listening online, also, that there was a little bit of confusion, I think, on the rezoning, the hearing that's tomorrow at the Planning Commission. So ask Ms. Josette or Ms. Snyder to pull up the map on the screen. The rezoning is the request is for the northwest corner of Wynn and Corduroy Road. There are 7 parcels. 5 of those parcels are already owned by the Oregon Economic Development Foundation, and we are in the process of working with them to close on the remaining 2 by no later than the end of August. I believe that right now Louisville Title is working on the title work, so soon after they finish with that, we'll be able to schedule closing dates for those. But I think more importantly, it kind of go back and inform everybody about a little bit of the history of this. There was a purchase and sale agreement that was approved and signed, approved by City Council, signed by the administration for the purchase and sale of the property in the industrial park. So this agreement effective date is November 14th, 2024. Subsequent to that, there were approvals to purchase the 5 parcels on the corner. That I won't go over each address or anything like that, but there are 5 houses on Wynn and on Corduroy at the corner that were approved for purchase. So we are in the process. 3 of those have been purchased. 2 more, again, like I mentioned before, are scheduled for closing sometime probably in August. And since then, as a part of this agreement, the purchase and sale agreement, I did send this out in an email to everybody on City Council for reference, but on page 7 of that agreement, there is a zoning contingency. So whereby the city has 270 days to rezone all of the parcels that have been discussed. So in other words, we're following through on the contractual arrangement that we have with the developer of the site. So that's what we're doing for rezoning, and that's the reason why. And this is for the to satisfy the commitments that were made as a part of this purchase and sale agreement that was approved last year. So with that, that'll conclude my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mazer. Ms. Purpura.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Purpura. We got Mrs. Paulo.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Paulo. Mr. Wallenczak.
No report this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Wallenczak. And I skipped you, my apologies. Mr. Roman. Anything from you, Mr. Roman?
No report, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roman. Ms. Sackerman.
Mr. President, Mr. Mazer made me aware of well, it's not an expansion, it's a rearrangement at the formerly EnviroSafe, now called Crystal Clean. Sorry, I have a hard time saying that with a straight face. A business, but it's going to be at Maycomber Lodge on July 30th, and I know you told me the time, Mr. Mazer, and
I'll look it up. We'll look it up.
okay, but we'll get it posted online, right? About the meeting. Are we gonna put anything in the press about it? Kinda can't, is there time for, yeah, there's still time. Do we
Mr.
get,
Mazur.
Mr.
like a
President, we
little-
normally don't from the city's end and pay for the ad, but
will they?
I'm not sure. I'll have to defer to Mr. Roman.
Yeah, there's usually
Does
that.
EnviroSafe usually put in an ad in the
There's
paper?
usually,
And-
yeah.
They were required.
I think it's a public.
One of the reasons we get the announcement as well.
Yeah, that's why I
Yep.
thought I saw that little, but it
And-
still said EnviroSafe, so. I
And
wasn't
Ms.
sure.
Ackerman, I will check with the representative to see to ensure that they will put something in the press.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I think there's some confusion about the tree commission. I had a really busy week, so I didn't get with Keith about why we haven't had a scheduled meeting. We have been meeting all year. And so I think maybe I'll have to check C, but I think maybe Miss Bennett didn't get copied in on that meeting schedule. I'm not sure. But I'll make sure she gets the notification when I do of the next tree commission meeting. So with that, I'll end my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ackerman. Mr. Slander.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing from my standing committee. Just real quick, just saying that I did get a chance, and I left these here last time, so I have it right here. Perfect. Did get to go see Oregon Community's Children's Summer Theater presentation of Suzical Jr., and once again, I was not disappointed in any way. We have some talented kids in our community, so every chance you get, I highly recommend. I mean, if you saw the parking lot over there, it was packed. Rightly so. Those kids deserve it. So it was an outstanding show. So thank you, Mr. President. That concludes everything.
Thank you, Mr. Slander. Mr. Drake.
No report from my committee. I just had a couple questions, one for sure. I've had a lot of citizens ask. They've been reading the paper and Facebook and all these other networks. How many acres in the city does the city own currently, if anybody knows?
Mr. President,
Go ahead, Mr. Mazur.
Mr. Drake, we'd have to look that up. I'd have to
Something you can
run a
answer and
report on
follow-
that, something we can follow
answer
up
and
on.
follow up to council with.
Yep.
Okay, and something else too, with the second plant they want to put in. I've been bombarded by a bunch of people wondering when and if the first plant, if they're gonna ever take off the ground, or, and a lot of them say, how can you vote for a second one when the first child hasn't even been born or whatever? So I was just curious about that, if you guys had any information on that.
Mr. President, if I
Mr.
may.
Mazur.
And Mr. Drake, are you, I just have one question back. Are you referring to the data center?
Correct.
Okay. That is strictly an exploratory phase right now. That is not anything that's
Just to
solid.
clarify, you're speaking of the second opportunity.
Correct.
Okay, the
yeah, excuse
first
me.
opportunity.
Yeah, excuse me. The first opportunity is solidified and approved. We do have the purchase and sale agreement, and we are working through it is a rigorous due diligence period. And I do have in one of my emails to City Council, I did reference this Toledo Blade editorial article that isn't entirely accurate. No judgment on that, but it does capture the point of why it takes so long. And one of the issues that we're running into is getting a detailed load study completed by First Energy, and that has to go through First Energy. So it is a long process, and but for clarification, the proposed second data center site is strictly in the exploratory phase, and it's an opportunity, and they're talking with property owners right now. That's really all there is to say about it. So nothing's etched in stone. If something were to happen down the road, it would have to go through a very rigorous public process. There would have to be property acquisitions, zoning changes, things like that. So that would take a long time in itself. So again, this is back to the original point. It's really just in the exploratory phase. There's nothing etched in stone. It's just asking questions to see if it's a viable option for them. So I hope that helps.
Mr. President, I have one more thing I want to bring up. Just a reminder, the U.S. Patriots amputee team will be here this Saturday at the Oregon Rec. I know Mr. Borton and Joel have handled this, and sounds like everything's coming together. You know, it should be a good weather and good crowd, hopefully, and I just wanted to thank Tim and Joel for doing it, and I talked to the coach, and he sent all their heavy boxes to my house. I don't know why. So I got to figure out how to lift them. I got a 5-pound limit. But no, I just wanted to thank the city and Joel and Tim for doing that. All right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drake. The only thing I have from my standing committee is, council, I would like to set a meeting of the Economic Development Committee for Monday evening, which I believe is the 21st, at 6:30 PM here in council chambers. Reason for the meeting will be to discuss Hollydale Avenue to the east of Wheeling Road. We want to kind of just present that and talk a little bit about that with some suggestions of what to do with that moving forward and what the game plan would be. So again, I'll set that meeting for Monday, July 21st at 6:30 PM. Should only be a brief meeting, so we should be good for our 7 o'clock start. With that said, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Spalleff.
Second.
Seconded by Ms.